All right, so get ready because today we are going to be diving deep into the mind of David Goggins.
Oh, yeah.
You know, ultra athlete, retired Navy SEAL, just
All around badass.
yeah, like force of nature.
Yeah.
You guys sent in some excerpts from his autobiography, Can't Hurt Me.
Yo,
It's-
it's good. It's intense, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're here to kind of help break it down
Yeah.
and then, see what we can learn from it, what kind of nuggets of wisdom we can pull out.
Yeah, there are a lot of good takeaways.
Yeah.
I mean, Goggins' accomplishments alone are kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a guy who didn't just complete SEAL training.
Right.
He was only the 36th African-American to do so.
Wow.
But he also went through Army Ranger School,
Yeah.
Air Force Tactical Air Controller training,
Mhm.
and then he ran over 60 ultramarathons.
It's crazy.
Oh, and he set a Guinness World Record for pull-ups.
Yeah.
Like
It's like he's not human.
yeah, you almost wonder if he's human.
But that's what's so fascinating about him, right?
It's not like he has this superhuman ability.
Right.
It's about resilience, you know,
Mental toughness.
mental toughness, and just this idea that we all have these untapped reserves of strength,
Yeah.
you know,
For
you can tap into.
Absolutely. And that's a thread that we'll see throughout his story, this idea of pushing past perceived limits.
Yeah.
But to understand that, we kind of need to go back to the beginning.
Uh.
And trust me, his childhood was anything but easy.
So Goggins calls his childhood home Paradise Road,
Right?
which, sounds idyllic.
You think, oh, this is going to be nice.
Yeah, peaceful.
This is going to be a good story.
But he says that living there was pure hell,
Yeah.
mostly because of his abusive father.
Right. It's like calling a torture chamber like the relaxation room or something.
Yeah.
Goggins recounts poverty, racism, constant fear, and that's before we even get to like the physical abuse
Yeah.
that he witnessed and experienced.
Right.
Imagine being 6 years old and having your father pull a gun on you.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, that's the kind of stuff that leaves scars.
It's so hard to even comprehend.
Yeah.
And he talks about, finding his dad's loaded pistol like tucked under the couch cushion
Right.
where he and his brother slept.
Oh, my God.
I mean, talk about a constant state of anxiety.
Yeah. Like, how do you even relax
What?
in a situation like that?
Yeah.
That kind of environment forces you to adapt,
Right.
to develop coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And in Goggins' case, it seems like he learned to just shut down his emotions,
Well,
to just power through the pain.
yeah.
It's almost like he was training for the mental toughness that he'd need later in life, but in a worst way possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
But they did eventually escape that environment, right?
Yeah, when Goggins was 8, his mom finally grabbed him and his brother and fled.
Okay.
But even though they escaped that specific situation,
Yeah.
the challenges continued.
Right.
Poverty, racism, academic struggles.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they were still facing an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So how did he go from this traumatized kid
Right.
to, David Goggins?
Right.
Like, it's got to be a turning point somewhere.
Yeah, that's where the accountability mirror comes in. I think this is one of the most powerful and practical takeaways from Can't Hurt Me.
Okay.
So picture this, Goggins is standing in front of a mirror,
Okay.
and it's plastered with Post-it notes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of notes?
We're talking brutal honesty here.
Okay.
Things like, you're fat.
Yeah.
You're not smart enough.
Wow.
Basically anything that he saw as a weakness,
Hmm.
it's like he was forcing himself to confront his demons head on,
Right.
No sugarcoating.
Yeah.
Like straight up truth.
That's intense.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of the point, right?
Right.
To shock himself into action.
Exactly. And here's the thing. It's not just about listing your flaws,
Right.
It's about taking radical responsibility for your own growth.
Yeah.
Think about it. What if you had your own accountability mirror? What would your Post-it notes say?
Yeah.
What are the things holding you back?
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
But even with the mirror, Goggins still had a long way to go. I
Right.
mean, he was nearly 300 pounds
Yeah.
and couldn't run a quarter mile.
Right.
How did he even get on the path to becoming a SEAL?
It was a gradual process.
Okay.
He started by losing weight,
Okay.
improving his ASVAB scores through sheer determination and self-study, and eventually enlisting in the Air Force.
Okay.
But even then, his journey wasn't exactly a straight line to success.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he hit another rough patch during his first stint in the Air Force, gained weight, and ended up on what he called cockroach duty.
Cockroach duty.
Yeah.
What in the world is that?
Exactly what it sounds like, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
His job was to bait, move, and replace cockroach traps in restaurants. It was about as far away from being a pararescue man.
Yeah.
His initial dream, as you could imagine.
Right.
Like, this is not what I signed up for.
So how did he go from chasing cockroaches to chasing his seal dream?
One day, he stumbled across this documentary about Navy SEALs.
Okay.
And it was like a light bulb went off.
Yeah.
You know?
He saw these guys pushing their limits, facing these incredible challenges, and it just reignited that spark in him.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a reminder that inspiration can come from the most unexpected places.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know where it's going to hit you.
But deciding to become a SEAL is one thing.
Yeah.
Actually doing it is a whole different story.
Right.
And Goggins had a mountain to climb.
For sure.
He was still battling his fear of water from childhood. Had never learned to swim properly.
Oh, wow.
And then there was the issue of his divorce.
Right.
So he made this incredibly tough decision to end his marriage.
Yeah.
To fully commit to his SEAL goal.
Wow.
And keep in mind, this wasn't just some whim.
Yeah.
He knew the training would be brutal.
Right.
And he was willing to sacrifice everything to succeed.
That takes a level of dedication that most people can't even fathom.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, wow. But then there's the fact that he was diagnosed with sickle cell trait during training.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
That could have been a deal breaker right there.
Right, because sickle cell trait can be life-threatening during the intense underwater training that SEALs go through.
Yeah.
But Goggins wasn't deterred. He was determined to prove that he had what it takes.
And that determination was about to be put to the ultimate test.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
So we've got this picture of Goggins, you know, pushing through SEAL training, overcoming obstacle after obstacle.
Right.
But his story doesn't end there. In fact, you could say graduating BUDS was just the beginning.
Yeah.
Goggins isn't the type to settle. He's always looking for the next challenge, the next opportunity to push himself further.
Okay.
And that's where his ultramarathon career kicks off.
Right.
And it starts with a pretty wild decision.
So he decides, with almost no preparation, to run the San Diego one-day 100-mile race.
Yeah, we're talking 3 days' notice.
Oh, my gosh.
It's mind-boggling. Most people spend months, sometimes years, training for a marathon.
Right.
Let alone a 100-mile race.
Yeah.
But Goggins doesn't do things halfway.
Right. And remember, he's still recovering from all the physical punishment of SEAL training.
Yeah.
So what was the motivation behind this sudden urge to run 100 miles?
Goggins was deeply moved by the stories of fallen SEALs.
Okay.
Especially Marcus Luttrell.
Right.
The sole survivor of Operation Red Wings.
Yeah.
And the heroic sacrifice of his teammate, Michael Murphy. He wanted to honor their memory and raise money for their families.
Okay.
You know, it was something that was very important to him.
It's a powerful reminder that Goggins' drive isn't just about personal achievement.
Right.
There's this deep sense of purpose and commitment to something bigger than himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even with a noble cause driving him, 100 miles is still 100 miles.
Yeah.
And this is where Goggins introduces this concept that has really resonated with people.
Okay.
The cookie jar.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What's the cookie jar all about?
Imagine this. You're running.
Right.
Your legs are screaming. Your lungs are burning. You want to quit. That's when you reach into your mental cookie jar.
So it's like a storehouse of memories of past experiences
where
you overcame adversity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's those moments of triumph, you know, of pushing through pain, of proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought possible.
Right.
Goggins would draw on memories of surviving Hell Week, overcoming his fear of water, even those brutal experiences from his childhood.
Right.
You know, all those things went into the cookie jar.
It's almost like he's weaponizing his past pain.
Right.
Using it as fuel to push forward.
There's a definite element of that.
Yeah.
He's transforming his suffering into a source of strength.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We all have a cookie jar. Think about those times in your life when you faced a challenge and came out stronger. Those are your cookies.
Okay.
And you can bake more cookies.
I love that.
Anytime you push past your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Anytime you overcome something you thought you couldn't.
Yeah, that's such a powerful metaphor.
Yeah.
But even with the cookie jar, running 100 miles is still brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Did he actually finish the race?
Oh, he finished it all right.
Okay.
But it took a serious toll.
Yeah.
Around mile 70, his body started to break down.
Oh, my gosh.
He was vomiting. His mind was screaming for him to stop.
That's where most people would tap out.
Right.
Yeah.
But Goggins, well, he's not most people.
Right.
He kept digging deep. Pulling out those cookies from his mental jar.
Yeah.
And he crossed the finish line.
That's incredible.
It's amazing.
So what was his takeaway from this experience?
Right.
I mean, besides the fact that he's apparently superhuman?
He learned that he had a deeper well of resilience than he ever imagined. And that's a lesson that applies to all of us, you know?
Right.
We tend to underestimate our own capabilities.
Yeah.
We set limits on ourselves based on fear or doubt or past experiences.
So.
But what if those limits are mostly in our minds?
That's where his famous 40% rule comes into play, right?
Exactly. Goggins believes that most people quit when they've only given about 40% of their true effort.
So we're all walking around with this untapped 60% potential just waiting to be unlocked.
That's the idea.
Wow.
We have these internal governors, these voices in our heads that tell us to stop,
Right.
that we've reached our limit.
Yeah.
But Goggins is saying, what if those voices are lying?
Right.
What if we could push past that 40% barrier and see what we're truly capable of?
It's a pretty radical concept.
It is.
And I'm guessing he didn't stop at a 100-mile race to test this theory.
Oh, no, not even close.
Okay.
This brings us to the Ultraman World Championships in Hawaii.
Okay, I've heard of this.
Yeah.
It makes the Ironman look like a walk in the park.
Yeah, it's a 320-mile triathlon.
Wow.
Spread over 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Day 1, you swim 6.2 miles.
Okay.
And then bike 90 miles.
Okay.
Day 2 is a 171-mile bike ride.
Grief.
And then just when you think you're done, Day 3 is a double marathon, 52.4 miles of running.
Wow.
It's an absolutely insane test of human endurance.
And Goggins, of course, dives in headfirst.
Oh, yeah.
But this time, something interesting happens.
Okay.
It's not just about him pushing his own limits. He has an encounter that shifts his perspective.
He meets a double amputee competitor.
Wow. I mean, just the fact that this guy is competing at all is incredible.
Right. It's a powerful reminder that limitations are often self-imposed.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who has every reason to say, I can't.
Right.
But instead, he's out there pushing himself beyond what most people would consider possible.
Right.
And it put Goggins' own struggles in a new light.
Yeah.
It made him realize that maybe he wasn't pushing as hard as he could.
Right. It shows that we all have our own unique challenges. Yeah. But it's the mindset, the willingness to keep going.
Right.
That ultimately defines us.
That's the essence of the 40% rule in action. It's about recognizing that we're capable of so much more than we think we are.
Okay.
But even with this newfound perspective,
Yeah.
Goggins' Ultraman experience wasn't without its setbacks.
There was the bike crash, right?
Yeah, on day 2, he flipped over the handlebars.
Oh, no.
Injuring his shoulder and knee.
Ouch.
But, you know, Goggins, he taped himself up and kept going.
Of course.
He even battled severe chafing from the swim, leaving his armpits raw and bleeding.
It sounds incredibly painful.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess that's kind of the point, right?
Right.
Pushing through discomfort to see what you're really made of.
Exactly.
So what happened next? Did he finish the Ultraman?
Oh, he finished.
He finished this insane 320-mile triathlon.
Battered and bruised, but still standing.
You'd think he might take a break.
Yeah.
Maybe relax for a minute.
Kick his feet up.
Yeah. But that's not Goggins' style.
Not even close.
Is it?
He has this relentless drive to keep pushing,
Right.
to keep evolving. He even talks about wanting to be uncommon amongst uncommon.
Right.
Which is fascinating when you think about it.
He's already a SEAL.
Right.
Which puts him in a pretty elite category to begin with.
For sure.
But that's not enough for him.
Nope.
He wants to be exceptional, even amongst the exceptional.
It's like he's constantly raising the bar for himself.
Right.
And it's not about ego or showing off.
Right.
It's about this deep-seated belief that we all have more to give, that we haven't even scratched the surface of our potential.
So what does this look like in practice?
Right.
I mean, how do you become uncommon amongst uncommon when you're already operating at such a high level?
Goggins is all about pushing beyond the standard.
Okay.
Even when there's no external pressure.
Yeah.
Take his time stationed in Malaysia, for example.
Okay.
He could have easily coasted.
Yeah.
Just met the minimum requirements.
Right.
But that wasn't Goggins. He maintained this intense training regimen.
Okay.
Running for miles in the jungle heat.
Oh, yeah.
Preparing himself for any opportunity that might arise.
It's like he's always in training.
Yeah.
Always striving to be ready for whatever challenge comes his way.
Right.
And this ultimately leads him to set his sights on an even more elite unit within the SEALs.
Okay.
DVGRU, also known as SEAL Team 6.
This is the unit that carried out the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound.
Wow.
It's the pinnacle of special operations.
Yeah.
And Goggins is determined to earn a spot on the team.
Okay.
So in preparation, he attends Army Ranger School.
Yeah.
Which is notorious for its grueling physical and mental demands. Like, you got to be tough to go through that.
So he just keeps adding these incredible achievements to his resume.
He does.
It's almost like he's collecting them.
Yeah, he's not afraid of a challenge, that's for sure.
But even Goggins, with his superhuman drive and discipline, faces setbacks.
Right, his attempt to join Delta Force.
Okay.
The Army's most elite special operations unit. Doesn't go as planned.
Wait, he got rejected.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
It's a humbling reminder that even the best of the best stumble sometimes.
Right.
Despite an impressive performance overall.
Yeah.
A navigational error during a selection exercise leads to his dismissal.
I can't imagine how frustrating that must have been.
Yeah.
For someone who prides himself on mental toughness and preparation.
It's a blow to his ego, for sure.
Yeah.
But here's what's interesting. Goggins doesn't make excuses.
Correct.
He owns the failure, recognizing that his overconfidence and lack of focus contributed to the mistake.
It's another example of that radical self-responsibility we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
He's not blaming anyone else. He's looking inward and trying to understand where he went wrong.
And this introspection leads to a profound realization.
Yeah.
He starts to question the roots of his relentless drive, wondering if it might stem from a deep-seated need to prove himself a consequence of the trauma he endured during his childhood.
So it's not just this pure, unadulterated ambition driving him.
Right.
There's a deeper, more emotional layer to his motivation.
It's a vulnerable moment for Goggins.
Yeah.
He's starting to peel back the layers and confront the complex psychological forces that have shaped him.
Yeah.
And this realization marks a turning point in his journey.
Okay.
It's the beginning of a shift from seeking external validation to a deeper understanding of himself.
It's like he's moving from a prove them wrong mindset to a prove to myself mindset.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this internal shift coincides with a new set of physical challenges that force him to confront his own mortality.
This is where his health issues start to surface, right?
Yeah. He's dealing with dizzy spells fatigue and eventually gets diagnosed with a congenital heart defect and atrial fibrillation.
It's a stark reminder that even the toughest individuals are not invincible.
Right.
And it forces Goggins to explore new avenues for healing and self-discovery.
So what does he do?
Yeah, he's not exactly the type to sit back and passively accept a diagnosis.
He's dissatisfied with conventional medical approaches and embarks on this journey of self-exploration, eventually discovering the transformative power of, wait for it, stretching.
Stretching. That doesn't sound very Goggins-esque.
It might seem surprising, but think about it.
Okay.
Goggins has put his body through decades of intense physical punishment.
Right.
He's built up this incredible amount of muscle tension and inflammation.
Right. So it's not just about physical strength. It's about addressing the interconnectedness of mind and body.
Totally.
He's realizing that years of pushing his limits have come at a cost.
Exactly. And through stretching, Goggins experiences not only physical relief, but also an emotional breakthrough.
Wow.
He describes a release of pent-up trauma, a deeper understanding of himself, and a newfound sense of peace.
It's a powerful reminder that true strength often lies in recognizing our vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And finding ways to heal and care for ourselves.
Goggins' story is a wild ride.
Yeah.
Full of incredible feats and hard-won wisdom.
It is.
It's a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity.
Yeah.
But it also highlights the importance of self-awareness, vulnerability, and the constant pursuit of growth.
It's inspiring, but it's not just about Goggins, is it? It's about what his story reveals, about the potential that lies within all of us.
Right.
If he can push past his perceived limits, what's stopping us from pushing past ours?
Goggins has given us a blueprint. A set of tools and principles we can use to tap into our own reserves of strength and resilience.
Right.
The accountability mirror, the cookie jar, the 40% rule. These are more than just catchy phrases. They're practical strategies for confronting our fears, challenging our limiting beliefs, and ultimately becoming the best versions of ourselves.
So what's one small step you can take today to start pushing past your own 40%?
Right.
What limiting belief can you challenge?
What cookie can you add to your jar?
Goggins' story is a call to action. It's a reminder that we are all capable of extraordinary things.
Now it's our turn to go out there and make it happen.